Welcome to Money in Motion by Trade the Chain. If you want more from CJ and Monte, subscribe to Trade the Chain and get access to the TTC community Discord, weekly futures reports, AI-driven cryptocurrency sentiment indicators, and other exclusive content. For a 14-day free trial, visit tradethechain.com or visit the link in the video description.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Joined here with Monte. Getting towards the end of the week. Definitely, this last couple of weeks have felt quite long for whatever reason. But,
yeah, 2 weeks in a row, CJ. I got to say this. Or I woke up and I said TGIF, and then I'm like, oh, wait, it's actually not Friday. I don't know if there's something to that. If it's a price action that's doing that to me or what, but yeah, I'm with you there. Anyways, how you doing, my friend?
Honestly, not that great, but but I can't complain.
You said that with so much enthusiasm. Like, honestly, not that great.
Dude, I should have made so much money this week, and I just completely screwed it up by holding too much Coinbase. And you don't get a lot of opportunities like this week, and I think that was one of my biggest mistakes. So yeah, but who cares about that? Let's move on to setups and just anything you want to start the show with.
For sure. Listen, I say this all the time to like my friends and you've said this too. Like, in there's a lot of different ways you can put it, but there's not a whole lot more dangerous words in the English language than already pumped. And like having that like that attitude and looking at the charts and being like, oh man, Bitcoin's already made its move. Dude, I can't, my PC's hold
on. Pull up the chart.
No, I got it. Okay. Just my mouse is, I think, dying. Listen, Bitcoin had a great week, and if you were sidelined, you didn't have as much leverage on as you wanted. Like even I was fortunate enough to capture a lot of this trade, partially due to your insight that you put in the Discord. I'm like, dang, why didn't I use more leverage? Like, but that mentality is toxic, and I think it prevents you from catching next moves. And I don't think that this is the end of the move for Bitcoin by any degree. It's because, yesterday, and I've seen some questions in the Discord, yesterday I was basically very bullish because of the resiliency we were seeing out of Bitcoin relative to the S&P and the Qs and the NASDAQ. And I still think you can make that case today, even though they're down about the same amount. Bitcoin is showing signs of resiliency. It's showing signs on most days when we have the equity market open like this. Yeah, it's my mouse. That's definitely the issue. When we have the equity market looking like this, you'd expect a high beta asset like Bitcoin to be dropping like a hot knife through butter. And trying to catch that would be a fatal flaw. And then it would be like, dang, I missed all the move last week. Like, that sucks. Now the S&P is dragging Bitcoin down. But we're not seeing that really. Like, that's not what we're getting. Bitcoin's holding its own up here. And that, to me, is very encouraging. Another thing that I find very encouraging and that we've been talking about all week is that rotation of capital. Actually, I think I have the world's best mouse. This is the Logitech G Pro Wireless. Highly recommend it for if you're a gamer. But anyway, ETH. Finally seeing that rotation of capital into ETH that we've been waiting for. And I think it's set to continue. Some really nice price action today. You can see these wicks up to 1850 where we have some clear resistance. But above 1850, I think this thing runs and we see it plausibly make a move up to 2K. So, it is unfortunate if you missed, this part of the move here, but I still think there's plenty of chances to make money on the back of this move. And think about it. The narrative hasn't even set in yet. The narrative of like the ETF, like it still feels just like it's static in the air and it's not like yet a storm that's raining on us. But once that, like it feels like the storm is coming. And
Sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to do that, but I agree with Phoenix.
I disagree. I think if you like flashing lights and RGB, if that's your thing, then yeah, Razer's the best. But if you like performance and
I like my computer to look like a Need for Speed car.
you got that underglow on your PC. But you know, we're seeing that rotation of capital, CJ. So I wouldn't be all that discouraged. I wouldn't be all that, you know, hangdog. Not that you are, but I know there's some people, some of my friends like, hey man, why didn't you text me last week and tell me that Bitcoin's gonna pump? I'm like, all right.
That is, what is it, my job to tell you everything?
Yeah, right. That's what my
would have yelled at, like, that's, did your friend really say that?
Yeah. And in group chat. I just said STFU. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, mother sucker. But anyways, you like
no kidding.
I still think there's plenty of opportunity to play this move in Bitcoin. Like we made this move from 30 to 34K, and still don't have that ETF approval. I think until that ETF gets approved, we're up. It's like the rumor. We're still in that buy the rumor phase and not yet the sell the news phase. So I'm still excited about Bitcoin. I did, however, take a little bit of profit. I feel like that's the responsible thing to do after a move like what we've had in the last week. But I'm still holding 2/3 of my position. And if we break above 35K, I'm going to redeploy some of that capital. Get it, like I said in the Discord, candle body close above 35K. I'm redeploying that capital with a little bit more leverage this time, perhaps about 2.2x leverage, and trying to ride this thing up because I think that would be a breakout level. So, but today, like, what do you think of ETH, CJ? You think it's gonna continue to pump?
I mean, we had talked about ETH BTC being a buy.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, and I think today, I'm looking at the chart right now, it doesn't look that bad. The main thing that concerns me and why I don't want to chase Bitcoin up here is like, I don't want to compound a mistake and make it even worse. Like I didn't sell any Coinbase. Like I still hold it. The idea in general is like, if the equity market does rebound, I do think that Bitcoin, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get like correlated to gold. So then, you know, because sometimes you'll see like gold go down and as equities recover, if gold's been a safe haven. But ultimately, you know, looking at the NASDAQ, basically how I've tried to position. Here we go, finally. I'm just very concerned that like, I think people are underestimating the risk involved in like ES and the NASDAQ right now. And I know that's kind of probably arrogant of me to say after we've gone down straight for an entire week. But like when we looked at the positioning, like this is when price ultimately got neutral and then everybody bought. And this is at the point where we started finally getting short signals. I didn't take them immediately because, you know, I've talked about being reluctant to short equities, but now I think it is a viable hedge against like holding crypto equities or holding various crypto. I mean, I actually think the performance of Bitcoin, it's like you should have just been long Bitcoin and short crypto equities. But like, I don't know. Puts are very difficult because you're probably going to have the implied vol screw you over time. But like, I just see high likelihood, not a high likelihood, but it's just like the scenario is there because everybody was long up here. And if they now believe that the narrative of recession is coming back in, then like there's a lot of longs who could puke out of this. Now, I do agree that Bitcoin, you know, holding steady in the midst of that is a very good indication. But for the crypto equities right now, I really don't know. They don't look in a particularly good spot.
Yeah, Coinbase has been a tough hold, but I mean, if you do compare it with some of the other stocks, you know, in the queues, all things considered, it's holding up okay. You know, not necessarily the upward performance you'd want to see, but it's not like it's it's fallen off a cliff or anything. So, in fact, in the last few days, it's done the opposite. We saw a nice jump, a little bit of a retracement, but still overall positive price action in Coinbase. So, do you think that, like, maybe perhaps like ETH, where it was just a delayed reaction, Bitcoin made the move first, then we saw ETH make, that move up to the 200-day moving average? Do you think there's any possibility we see some of that positive price action in Bitcoin translate into Coinbase now that we're actually kind of holding steady up at 34K?
One would hope. And that was my initial thinking. This is why you never want to think markets logically. Like, Coinbase has 9,000 Bitcoins on their balance sheet, but for whatever reason, they don't get bid. That's great. That's great fundamental analysis. So I do think there will be a lag effect. And I felt very similar holding VGX at the start of the bull market. I was panicking because I'm like, why do I have this much cap? Like, VGX has done nothing. Bitcoin's gone from 20 to 40. Did I just miss the bull market? And then, in 1 or 2 weeks, you make up all the frustration that you've, been having. I do think if the ETF narrative, if it does come to fruition and it is, I do think that will drive up the crypto related equities, and Coinbase, like, fundamentally it should, be a benefactor of that, but I don't know now.
Yeah, it is tough to say. I mean, it's just like these markets are irrational at best, and especially the crypto related equities. Like, you're right, they just performing fundamental analysis on those things is like pointless because they don't move at all how you'd expect based on the fundamental analysis.
I saw a post on Twitter the other day that was great, and it had a picture of this guy holding the book by Benjamin Graham, The Intelligent Investor, which, for those who may have not read it, is like the Bible of like fundamental analysis and Warren Buffett school of thought, all that. And he goes, the only way to use this book properly in the 21st century, and it's just him throwing it into a trash can. And I completely believe that, because that's just how markets have really worked since, like, modern monetary theory has been prevalent since 2008. And we're getting a little off track here, but what I would say as a replacement for that fundamental analysis book is the book Devil Take the Hindpost, because it talks all about markets are a psychological phenomenon, not necessarily like a monetary. Like, obviously Apple's they're making good products, they're gonna go up over time, we get that, but in the short run, and trading around boom and bust cycles and really making money over time, it's all psychology, in my opinion, at least.
100% agree with you. And especially when it comes, like, you can like make a list of like, a scale from 1 to 100 of how speculative in nature the price action of a certain asset is. And I would say Coinbase is very high on that scale in terms of like speculative behavior, and the fundamentals matter less when it's being driven purely by speculation. So yeah, that being said, I am still holding Coinbase, with that same thesis in mind that you had, that it's going to be that kind of delayed price action effect. That being said, I do want to allocate some more capital today towards ETH, essentially on the same basis that I was allocating more capital into Bitcoin in the beginning of last week. Resilience against weak equity markets, resilience against Bitcoin, above the 200-day moving average. I think that gives you nice defined risk. That in conjunction with the fact that, historically we've seen ETH play catch up when it falls behind Bitcoin, which it certainly has when you look at it relative to its 200-day moving average. I mean, ETH could plausibly run up above 2K and still be, just be coming back to parity in terms of that ETH BTC pair. So the reason why I don't want to take this trade, and I've said this a few times, is because, although this chart does look good and it does look like we could see, you got nice defined risk, looks like you'd see a move back up into the 6% or the 6 cent range here. That being said, the remote event risk of an ETF approval would blow this trade out of the water while still having ETH pump. So I don't want this trade would, go down immensely. Bitcoin would outperform, but we'd still see positive price action out of ETH. So, that ETF approval lingering has me leaning more towards just ETH USD. And now that we're above the 200-day moving average, I think you have some nice defined risk and a clear rotation of capital from Bitcoin into ETH. So the same justification for buying Bitcoin last week, I think, can be used for buying ETH today. And really, if it breaks below the 200-day moving average, consider cutting it. But if not, consider riding that thing to the upside, because I think there is definitely upside potential after it's been kind of lagging behind Bitcoin.
If there was a time to do it, it would be now.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, my target would be, just below 2K. Yeah. If it does break above 2K, which is actually a possibility, I do believe this weekend. Last weekend, we saw some overwhelmingly positive price action, not so much in ETH, but in Bitcoin, right? We saw a really nice day of positive price action. I think that's a real possibility this weekend for ETH, is just one day of just blowout price action, where anyone who thinks that, the weakness in Bitcoin that we're seeing today might translate into weakness in ETH, they may not be aware of how this flow of capital model typically works. I think ETH has a day this weekend where we could plausibly see a $1,000 daily candle jump up to 2K, plausibly even smash above that level and keep going. That being said, I am still going to be, looking to get out at that 2K level. Going to be entering this. I entered this trade a little bit earlier in the week, but I'm going to be adding it to it today with a small bit of leverage, about 1.8x leverage, going to bring it back up to about that level. And if we hit 1985 or 1990, somewhere in that range, that's where I'll be looking to get out. So that's my trade of the day for ETH.
Appreciate that analysis.
Of course.
Thinking of a high point we can end it on today. Yeah, I mean, I'm short NASDAQ. It's my hedge. So maybe we crash here. I hope we don't. I hope it gets stopped out, but it is what it is. So bonds up a little bit. All right. Energy is, I think you could probably do some bearish trend following in energy nowadays.
Yeah.
How's XLE? I bet XLE would have been a good short this week. Let's see how that chart's doing. Yeah, I can't really chase it now. Maybe, but
yeah, kind of coming right up against some support here now. But yeah, would have been that's quite the week of negative price action.
Yeah, it's good when you see like energy going up in both, or when you see it going down in both risk on and risk off, like we have kind of the last week. I think that's a really good trend following opportunity to the downside. Could end up like something like ZL. I don't know if you checked that chart lately.
Yeah, I'm still in that position, in fact.
Oh, damn.
Thanks to you. Yeah, I'm diamond handsing that until you say otherwise. You haven't really given any indication that there's going to be any turn in. Honestly, neither has the charts. So, still in that trade. I guess I could quickly pull up that chart, or if you want to. I'm going to be curious to see. I feel like, last week, your futures report kind of called for some maybe de-risking in the bean meals, or in the beans, and I definitely agree based on positioning. But I'm gonna be really curious to see tomorrow how the positioning comes out in this ZL trade, because this thing's been essentially down only except for the last 48 hours. And it looks like it's set to continue to go down. I think if traders are trying to buy the dip down here, they're going to be punished pretty severely. So looking forward to that COT data coming out today and looking forward to your breakdown of it on Sunday. So please, if you don't mind including ZL in your futures report, I would very much appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Be safe out there. We'll talk to you same time tomorrow.
Thank you for watching Money in Motion. If you want more from Monte and CJ, subscribe to Trade the Chain and get access to the TTC community Discord, weekly futures reports, AI-driven cryptocurrency sentiment indicators, and other exclusive content. For a 14-day free trial, visit tradethechain.com or visit the link in the video description.